Before we jump again, I want to take a look at this dank lore that I've missed. The Louvre auction was much shorter, so we'll start here first.
INN will return after a word from our sponsor.
Do I need to pick this up again to go back to the Farnstein Lab? I'm not
In a
sure.
last-ditch effort to stay afloat, the Louvre Art Museum held an auction of unprecedented scale yesterday. The museum was forced to sell off many of its older collections to pay off creditors and to raise funds desperately needed for renovations to the facility. In a fervent display of support, the art community rallied around the historic landmark, showing that the museum itself is every bit as valuable an artifact as any of the works of art it contains. The auction was an astounding success, raising 138.5 billion credits, easily surpassing the 100 billion credit goal. This windfall was due in large part to one generous bidder who preferred to remain unidentified. Martin Walker is standing by with a live report from the Louvre.
Thanks, Mark. I'm standing inside the historic Louvre Museum in Paris. Behind me sits one of the few pieces to survive yesterday's extensive art auction. Items up for auction included artifacts and works of art from many of the Louvre's oldest collections, including the Da Vinci exhibit, the ancient Egyptian, and Toltec Mayan exhibits. 4 particular items were snapped up by a generous bidder who paid much more than the asking price. The bidder's identity is unknown, but it is assumed to be an art enthusiast who didn't want to see the Louvre shut down. There are rumors, however, that the buyer may actually have been acting on behalf of another race in the symbiotry, which, according to the Earth History Preservation Act of 2322, would be illegal. We're told an investigation may follow.
Ooh.
Museum sources that I spoke to speculated that the revenue from the auction will be enough to keep the Louvre in operation for at least the next 5 years. However, they warned me that the price of admission may go up in order to help cover operating costs. A small price to pay for such a wealth of human history and culture.
We're not actually allowed to sell art to alien races. That's been outlawed. Curious. I do question whether this is a green screen or not, just because we can see the shadow there. I mean, obviously it's not at the Louvre, and obviously that's not something you'd see at the Louvre, but, you know. Financial difficulties.
The Louvre's financial difficulties arose from a combination of rising maintenance costs, overspending, and lower than normal attendance. Several costly acquisitions in recent years sunk the museum into spiraling debt. When repairs to the facilities became unavoidable and visitor attendance fell, it became clear that a major influx of cash was needed to cure the museum's ills. In June, the decision was made to auction off several of its older exhibits. That decision paid off well yesterday.
What is the Louvre? The ancient place known as the Louvre was constructed in Paris during the reign of Louis XIV. It was later turned into an art museum of worldwide renown, and still boasts such masterpieces as Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa and Kenneth Farnstein's Self-Awareness. The Louvre became the world's largest privately owned museum when it was purchased from the French government by conglomerates of multinational firms in the year 2094. Capitalism ho. Oh. Yeah, this is educational stuff. I feel bad about reading this out. A masterful artist, inventor, and architect, Leonardo da Vinci was one of the most influential people ever to have lived. Leonardo was born on April 15, 1452, that'll be on the exam, kids, in the small town of Vinci, Italy. Apologies if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. At the age of 17, he began an apprenticeship in the studio of the noted artist Verrocchio. I don't know how to do Italian names, I'm sorry. His talent soon became apparent, and by the age of 25, he was creating his own masterworks of art. Leonardo later took up many other interests, including sculpture, anatomy, invention, architecture, music, astronomy, writing, and philosophy, of which he was accomplished in all. His most famous works include the Mona Lisa, the Last Supper, and Virgin and Child with St. Anne. He can also be credited with dozens of inventions in the areas of weaponry, textile development, transportation, lifting, automation, and flight. He died on May 2, 1519 at the age of 67. Designed for a flying machine. Don't think that ever happened. Andrea del Verrocchio, I don't know how to pronounce that. Best known for having been a tutor of Leonardo da Vinci, Andrea, or whatever his name is, was an extremely gifted painter and sculptor of the Italian Renaissance in his own right. His most famous work is an equestrian monument which shows masterful technique and composition. I'm not sure why we have a astronaut in the background there. I mean, yeah, historical archives, but, you know, still. And I've just realized we have pyramids there as well. What the hell?
The Louvre's financial difficulties arose from a combination of rising...
Alright, who was this bloke? I mean, we know who he is, but, you know. Kenneth Farnstein. Dr. Kenneth Farnstein was the probable creator of the Self/Here * Life series of sculptures. Don't know how to pronounce that. Born on July 7th, 2179, Farnstein was an exceptionally gifted only child. He was sent to the best schools and ultimately earned PhDs in cognitive science and artificial intelligence. His thesis, an introspective examination of the foundations of sentience, is a remarkable text that is, to this day, required reading for most students of cognitive science. Okay, this guy's very, very famous. Soon after his graduation in 2206, Dr. Farnstein started the hugely successful biotechnology company Gentech, of which he was the president and CEO for several years. During his time at Gentech, he grew wealthy, but eventually became bored with his supervisory role and longed to return to where the real discoveries were being made. To pass the time, Farnstein retreated into the arms of his second love, art. Through his involvement and support of the artistic community, he earned a reputation as a passionate patron of the arts. 12 years after starting Gentech, without warning or explanation, Dr. Farnstein stole off his stock and purchased a 50-year-old decommissioned research station, Amarax. He refurbished the station, making it entirely self-sufficient and adding several modules made from hollowed-out asteroids. Ah, that's why it looks so weird. The station was moved from deep solar orbit under veils of secrecy, and Farnstein disappeared into the shadows of space. It's orbiting above Saturn. 2 decades later, the reclusive genius reappeared briefly on Earth and began selling paintings. He was reputed to have told buyers that the works of art were made by an artificial sentience which he had created, and that he was reluctantly selling them to further finance his research. These paintings were admired for their powerful, raw energy, but did not receive great critical acclaim, relevance, as they were considered to lack a maturity of style. However, they did enjoy a brief flash of popularity in the art scene, mostly generated by the controversy generated by the famous scientist's intriguing claim. Interest quickly died down, however, as Farnstein continuously evaded requests to present his artist, with assertions that outside contact would taint the experiment. For a few more years, Dr. Farnstein endured the skepticism of the art community and the patronizing of his colleagues, who all sadly believed that he was a senile has-been. Eventually, his paintings stopped appearing on the market, and the world gradually forgot about Kenneth Farnstein and his dubious creation. In February of 2282, a space sweeper made a startling discovery while trolling low Saturn orbit. The salvage vessel scanners detected a derelict space station which had been almost entirely destroyed by a shower of comet fragments. The station's beacon identified it as Magellan Corporation's deep space research platform, Amarax. Amarax? I don't know how to pronounce that. Inside, the crew discovered the long-dead remnants of an advanced computer, the core of which they brought back to Earth for study. The computer was based on a radical new form of biotechnology, which took the world's foremost technologists years to understand. How smart was this guy? The complicated computer's resonant software had long since dissolved with the draining of the station's capacitance array, but its advanced architecture led to the development of today's ubiquitous biochip technology. Maybe that's how Arthur was able to integrate himself so easily. Do you have anything to say here, Arthur? No. Another, in some ways more intriguing discovery, was several astounding globes of a similar biomass, which, when interacted with, blossomed into multi-dimensional art pieces which subsequently threw the art world on its collective ear. So new and startling were the sculptures that, in conjunction with the discovery of the computer core, many in the scientific community were led to the speculation that perhaps Dr. Farnstein had, in fact, created an artificial creative personality as he had claimed. But with the computer dead and any notes or research destroyed with the laboratory module, most people have attributed the pieces to Farnstein himself. And that makes sense because everything that we've read here suggests that he is a very, very intelligent guy. The remains of Dr. Farnstein were never found. Several modules, including the research lab and much of the habitat wing, were sheared from the station's frame by the violent impact of the space debris. It is presumed that Farnstein was aboard one of these and perished in the accident. That is a long lore dump, but I'm glad that I read that, if for no other reason other than that's where I'm going first today. Amarax. The Deep Space Research Station Amarax was originally commissioned in 2173 by the Magellan Corporation, that should be capitalized, as a long-range parallax array platform. I could barely read the next sentence. From its deep solar orbit outside the apogee of Pluto, it was positioned to scan deep space for singularities for possible commercial use. Yeah, that looks very familiar to what we're looking at. The Amarax is better known, however, as one of the more famous Flying Dutchmen in astronautical history. Purchased and refurbished by Dr. Kenneth Farnstein in 2221. Is that the right year? I don't know. The Amarax was discovered in the year 2282 by a salvage vessel scanning low Saturn orbit for ice mining rigs. It had been severely damaged by an asteroid shower and was floating derelict. Okay, 2221, 2282. So he held on to this for 61 years? I'm assuming in the future that humans live above 100 years of age pretty commonly. Otherwise, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I just can't imagine, stop me if this sounds terrible, but I can't imagine an 80-year-old working on a space station, a sprightly 80-year-old. Apologies if you're 80 years old. I'm not yet, but I'll be there soon. Inside, the crew of the salvage vessel found an advanced biocomputer and 4 remarkable interactive sculptures that were later accredited to Dr. Farnstein. There's 4 of them, okay. Though the works have since been recognised as masterpieces, for the superstitious crew of the space sweeper Lazy Jane, they were the memories and ghosts of a long-dead crew, and the eerie story of the Amarax is still told amongst spaces in the cold dark stretches between the stars. What is a soft web? A neurocomputer's functions are determined by the soft web that resides within it. The software controls the computer's learning and overall functioning by altering connections between the neurons, or engrams, according to an evolving behavior pattern. What the hell? That is not how computers work. This behavior pattern begins as an instruction code or key, much like the DNA pattern of organic life, and becomes more complex as the program experiences and learns. Although lateral intelligence routines have become very sophisticated, technologists are still searching for a key that will allow for true spontaneous creativity and awareness, the so-called spark of life. Do we have one right here? Maybe. The word biotechnology refers to the use of biological organisms in industrial or informational processes. The foundation of modern biotechnology is the neurosynaptic polymer gel, a viscous liquid supporting a synthetic structure of neurons whose complex interaction creates pseudosynaptic pathways. That is a sentence, Jesus. The revolutionary nature of this technology comes from the remarkable way in which the relationship between the neurons flexes in response to the evolution of its software, or behavior pattern. In effect, allowing the software to continuously redefine the configuration of the hardware for maximum efficiency. This phenomenon has opened the doors to a new generation of intelligent, lateral thinking computers, and also manifests itself in the application of neuromass to consensual polymorphing, as first demonstrated by Farnstein's brilliant self/here star life series of interactive sculptures. I can't anymore. Many in fact consider Dr. Farnstein to be the father of modern biotechnology. I'm sure he is, as today's neurocomputers are directly derived from a revolutionary prototype discovered aboard his derelict space station in the year 2282, and we are now investigating it to see just what the hell happened and trying to recover the AI. Oh my god.
The Louvre's financial
That was purely me clicking financial difficulties.
The Louvre's financial difficulties.
And then clicking on Louvre. Oh my god.
The Louvre's
This predated Wikipedia by many years.
The 4 items that the unidentified bidder purchased included the Toltec Mayan ceremonial coffer, King Richard the Lionheart's sword from the Crusades, Leonardo da Vinci's Codex Atlanticus, and an interactive sculpture entitled Self-Awareness, credited to Kenneth Farnstein. Attendees of the auction said the buyer did not try to purchase any other items, but immediately made an excessive bid on these 4 artifacts as soon as the bidding opened.
I don't imagine we'll be seeing all of these items, but... well, maybe we did see the codex. We saw a sword. I don't believe we're looking for an interactive sculpture. The thing that was found in our locker was a signed letter or signed documents from his lab. I've got to go back and look in a sec. The sword is mentioned here, but I thought it was a jewel. I thought it was a jewel that was stuffed in our locker. I am not reading this. If you want to learn about Richard I, you can purchase this game yourself and click these things. There is way too much shit here. I can't imagine there's going to be anything useful in here that will lead me towards any puzzle solutions. But having said that, will I get points for it? Oh my god. What the actual fuck is this? What's wrong with your face? Where was Henry I? Okay, so Philip Augustus, yeah, we learnt a lot about him, or we learnt something about him in the previous zone. This is ridiculous.
The 4 items that the unidentified...
Yeah, I get it. I do want to have a look at this though. Toltec, the Toltec Indian civilization ruled the Central American highlands from the 10th to 12th centuries AD, when they were invaded by neighboring Indian tribes. The Toltecs were excellent craftsmen and sophisticated builders, and their influence can be seen in Chichen Itza and other post-classic Mayan centers. I'm not reading this. So as I understand it, the Mayans at Chichen Itza were visited by the Toltecs. The god. Anything here? It was founded for the last time by the Toltec. Abandoned about 200 years later for unknown reasons.
The 4 items that the unidentified bidder purchased included the Toltec Mayan ceremonial...
I don't think there's anything else here.
The 4 items...
Yeah, we're seeing all that. I'm not looking at the rest though. If you want to read it, you can do it yourself.
INN will return after a word from our sponsor.
The heads of ministry will continue to meet with symbiotry representatives today.
I'm going to skip this. So this had to do with the symbiotry and whether or not we want to share our technology for time travel. I've looked at the appeal for sharing.
The opinion originally held the Dorlun and Zangtrakar, perhaps grand and...
I've read about 3 races. I've been through all of that on a previous video. I've not started editing, so I don't know which one it is. It's probably the second video, but I've not looked at these. I want to take a look at these.
Despite being recently abandoned by the Kryn, two of humanity's staunchest supporters, the Sorolans and the Tsar, have continued to defend our right to autonomy over time travel technology. Like those that favor dismantling it, these two races would rather leave their past buried than risk losing it altogether. But unlike the others, the Sorolans and Tsar believe that humanity harbors a maturity beyond its years and can be entrusted with preserving the sanctity of history.
Okay, we've got 6 races now.
In fact, they suggest that our closeness to our violent past makes us even better suited to manage time travel, as the dire consequences of the misuse of technology still stain our racial memory. Unfortunately, theirs is a minority opinion. The prevailing response to this argument is that Earth's record with time travel speaks for itself. In just 10 years, there have already been incidents of deliberate historical sabotage, the latest of which allegedly involving an agent of the Temporal Security Agency. Our benefactors, however, dismiss the Elliott, Sinclair, and Gage Blackwood incidents as aberrant acts by disturbed individuals rather than a weakness of humanity as a whole. And they ask, as a sign of good faith and trust in the newest member of the symbiotree, that the future of time travel technology be left to our discretion.
If this was a true capitalistic society, we would just say, go develop time travel yourself, fellas. Bootstraps and all that.
Despite
the Cyrolans. The oldest race of the symbiotree, these noble creatures were also instrumental in its inception. They are widely respected throughout the galaxy for their wisdom and science, as well as their generosity and foresight. They possess keen prescience, I think that's how it's pronounced, abilities, but do not allow precognition to affect their actions or the natural progression of streams, whatever that is. Instead, they are watchers, learners, and strong advocates of self-determination. They will always offer sage advice, but will never intervene in another race's affairs. They seem to share a particular bond with humans, the youngest and newest race of the symbiotree, finding them a most promising and precocious race, despite their brief and impassioned lives. They are misguided, very clearly. The biological lifespan of the average Cyrolan is not known, but most Cyrolans choose to exist, for about 3,000 to 5,000 Earth years. Jesus. If I ever get to 120, please just shoot me. Once they tire of life, they will gestate a new organism and pass all their accumulated thought, memory, and wisdom onto the offspring in a long and quiet ritual which culminates in their deaths. Oof. Thus, one could say that Cyrolans actually never die. They just change bodies every few thousand years. In addition to their prescience and telepathic awareness, the Cyrolans have heightened sensory perception of space, sound, and energy. They perceive light and particle radiation in all frequencies, as well as sound and pressure waves, subspace activity, and even temporal shifts. The Cyrolans are physically quite similar to humans, only much larger. This has led to some speculation about evolutionary relationships between the two species, but the Cyrolans are hesitant to discuss this subject, preferring that we discover our past ourselves. Are we saying that we're related? Oh my god. I can't. I just can't. Ideal temperature, 25 degrees Celsius, plus or 10, yeah. 0.89 G. That's lacking in nitrogen, but otherwise fine. Were we related, perhaps?
Despite being recently...
I don't know how much more of this I can read. I've almost had enough. The Kryn are one of the most recent additions to the symbiotree. Aquatic homeworld centuries ago, they were a non-tool using race, having not naturally developed any opposable or prehensile limbs. What about opposable thumbs? The Kryn were deemed to be highly intelligent and mentally evolved. The symbiotree decided, not unanimously, to grant them the use of prosthetic appendages, should they so desire. The Kryn accepted this artificial advancement and have since continued their pursuit of new advantages to assert their place in the universe. They can be likened most to the dolphins of Earth, possessing streamlined bodies which allow them to glide through their fluid environments. Because of their environmental needs, there are now liquid tanks in all symbiotree and embassy facilities to accommodate Kryn emissaries. Wow. Size is based on something radiation, which occurs naturally on their homeworld. Innate senses, they have cybernetic implants which further extend their sensory awareness. Their hearing is very similar to that of humans. They communicate vocally within a human audible frequency range. Do they speak English? The Sorolans definitely know how to speak English.
Despite
The Sar, almost unanimously considered to be the most whimsical members of the Symbiotry. They are a heterogeneous, I don't know what that word means, ranging in length from 0.25 meters to as large as 6 meters. What the hell? They are very fraternal with each other. They have the ability to adhere to any surface in any orientation, gravity or no. Easy to spot at a Symbiotry meeting, they're the ones sitting on the floors and walls. If they're only a quarter of a meter long, are they that easy to spot? Best explained as a kind of organic magnetism, in which their cells modify their natural magnetic polarities to complement whatever material they come in contact with. Wow. Architecture is a spectacle to behold. Every surface has been prepared to be seen and occupied from multiple orientations. Jesus. Practical jokes. Yeah, whimsical. Highly social, very curious about other races' technologies. They respect other races' rights to privacy and strongly maintain their own. Considered to be in vain, adorned in ornate and extravagant outfits, decorating tastes are equally lavish. They have a palate for precious collectibles from other cultures. Ooh, I wonder if it was the Sar who potentially bought that stuff from the Louvre. Unlike many races, they have also advanced their biotechnologies to the point where they no longer need food to survive, and are in effect completely self-sufficient. However, they still enjoy the sensory and social rewards of consumption, and are always seeking new and more extravagant cuisines. Oh my god. There's multiple words in that sentence that I can't read. They can see and hear in a broad range of frequencies, allowing for communication with almost any other race.
despite
Right. That was one button. Jesus fuck.
the third viewpoint, which was originally held only by the Unwa, is that the existence of time travel technology represents a threat to the history of every race in the Symbiotry.
Not wrong.
For this reason, these races feel that all existing time machines should be completely dismantled. Following the arrest of Agent 5, the Loxoni changed their allegiance from petitioning for the release of time travel technology to requesting its destruction.
Okay, 7 races.
They were joined by the Kryn, for whom this represents a break in their long-standing tradition of fervently supporting every race's right to sovereignty over its own technologies. The Loxoni now proclaim that if not destroyed, the technology must at the very least be put in the safekeeping of an elder race of the Symbiotry. They cite security as their main concern.
Who are the elder races other than the Sorolans?
Like the others that share their goal, they feel that humanity lacks the necessary discretion to control such a powerful tool. As a side note, it should be mentioned that the Loxoni themselves are among the eldest races of the Symbiotry.
Thank you for answering my question, game. I appreciate
The
it.
third viewpoint...
The Kryn. Do I know who they are? One of the most recent? Yeah, I was just reading those. Dolphins.
They were joined by the Kryn. The third...
Who are the Unwa? Little is known about them. Every Unwa is different from the others in physiology because each one evolves differently and is in fact always changing. They can hardly be classified together as a race at all, as their only shared quality seems to be the ability to change. Not to be confused with shape-shifting organisms. They're not shapeshifters? If they were shapeshifters, I was wondering if maybe one of them could disguise himself as a human in a jumpsuit. Modify their physiologies by direct response to immediate environments, absorption of other local materials and other creatures, lovely. Lifespan and reproduction are a complete mystery to all but them, as are their nutritional, social and physiological needs, very secretive about their origins and habitats, valuable contributors to the Symbiotry. Speculated that they may have been engineered by another race, but that theory cannot be substantiated. They're nomadic beings, often travel alone or in clans, somehow always aware of one another. They are timid, but are quite friendly once they have established trust. Their secretive nature makes them paranoid. They do not like to be in the company of non-Unwa for extended periods of time. Curious.
The third viewpoint, which they were joined like the others that share their...
Alright, there's nothing else there. Thank God. Results?
Despite the arguments made by the Symbiotry envoys, the general opinion of the heads of ministry so far appears unswayed. Michael Rozhenko of the Northwest Asia Collective rebutted that the danger of time travel falling into the wrong hands and being used to change history, however slight, is still too great to even consider releasing the technology. It must be realized that time travel has not only the power to unlock the secrets of history, but also unparalleled potential for destruction. Few could argue that it would be foolish to give such a tool to anyone, regardless of its intended use. On the other hand, it's also too late for it to be destroyed, as was pointed out by Chancellor of Law Rick Allen, when he stated that the technology has already been created and can therefore be recreated.
I think if you murder enough people, we can stop it from being recreated.
Chancellor Allen emphasized his point by attesting that if all known time travel technology were destroyed and a new time machine built without government knowledge or approval, there would be no way to intervene in the actions of the illicit time traveler. He would have free rein to rewrite history to his liking. Unfortunately, such scenarios are all too likely, as was proven by the Elliot Sinclair incident and the current trial of Gage Blackwood.
Sinclair was banned from working on time machines, and he went and did it in secret. Like I said, if you murder enough people, maybe we could make it work.
Despite...
Okay. I've been through everything here. I think. There's more in there, but I don't want to read it. So, question is, how much of Kenneth Farnstein's stuff do I remember? I don't know, but that's where I'm heading next. We've got Arthur with us this time, and I think we might be starting in a different location. I might have to come back here immediately though and get another cheese girl if I'm not in the correct position.
Man, the station looks like hell. Most of the habitat modules have been sheared off. The lab there also, down below. I'm just hanging by a thread. Amazing that I survived that hit. I guess I'm just thick-skulled. It's funny. I used to feel that station like a body. From inside, you don't get a picture of the damage. You just feel like limbs have been cut off. You try to twitch a finger and you get no response. It's kind of strange to see it like this.
Alright, so now that we're here and we've heard that, I need to go back home. Okay, looking at my notes. In this case, what I wrote into my phone. Let me make a save. Thoughts on yourself, Arthur?
Well, somewhere under all that ceiling foam is the door to, well, what used to be the hydroponics module. Nothing special, just your garden variety greenhouse. Sorry.
Yes. Thank you for apologizing.
The doc used to spend a lot of time in here, gardening. It's all automated, of course, so I'm not sure why he bothered, especially the way he set up all kinds of lockout routines to keep me out. I got on his nerves, he said. I have no idea what he meant, but I got the picture anyway that he wanted to be alone. Come on, let's move on. All right. The passageway has been destroyed, so the only way we're going to get to the biomass processing room is through the asteroid. We're going to have to hurry, though, because it's all in vacuum and your oxygen reserve isn't going to get you very far. We'll have to take the atmosphere mining lift.
Cool. I have no idea where any of those are.
Ooh, scary.
This is pathetic. What am I going to do next? Hold a flashlight under my face?
One moment.
This door used to lead to a shortcut between the Habitat Wing and the Science Wing. Now I'm sure it's just a scenic view.
You're not wrong, but let me confirm. Nothing's changed here. And now we're stranded.
All right. The passageway has been destroyed,
Aha.
so the only way we're going to get to the biomass processing room is through the asteroid. We're going to have to hurry, though, because it's all in vacuum and your oxygen reserve isn't going to get you very far. We'll have to take the atmosphere mining lift.
This was locked earlier.
Okay, the passageway is destroyed, so the only way to get to the sculptures is going to be to go through the asteroid. The airlock lift through this door will take us there.
So last time this door was pressurized.
Pressure variance too great. Door may not be opened until pressure is equalized.
The airlock on the other side must still be pressurized. That's why this door won't open. I can put out an audio override code to bypass the safety interlocks, but the rest will be up to you. Here goes.
Emergency door release initiated. Please stand by.
I'm surprised we didn't get a huge whoosh of air coming from there. That was odd. Explosive charge. There's a small grav pad on the backside of this explosive charge which allows it to stick to any surface. Lovely. Kinda like that alien race that we were just reading about.
These lifts weren't used too often. The atmosphere mining is all automated, so they're really only for maintenance. Doc used to come up here every once in a while, because it's really quite beautiful inside the asteroid, but it's such a pain to suit up, I suppose.
I want to make another save because I don't want to listen to all these conversations again.
Doc wanted to make this place self-sufficient, so he set all this up when he refurbished the station. It's a simple idea, really. You capture a large asteroid composed mainly of water ice, bore through the center, and set up a mining rig on a cable track. The ice is mined away from the inside out and melted at the junctions at either end, then pumped down to the atmosphere plant on the station proper. There, some of it's broken down into oxygen for breathable air and hydrogen for the attitude jets and backup generator. This is mostly why Doc decided to move the station into orbit near Saturn's rings. Here, there is an unlimited supply of asteroids, and considering the station's only supporting a crew of one, Doc would only need to replace it once every decade or so.
Arthur, that's all very fascinating, but I'm dying here! Hurry the fuck up! Okay, I see nothing interesting around here. Let's go up. Somehow I doubt that I'm going to find another pressurized environment before I run out of oxygen again. Looks like I can go up further, but I've got something there that I can look at. It's alright, I'll be doing some loading very shortly. Run mining cycle, run O2 extraction. Right, that did something, but don't know what. Purge valve. Emergency release, pull back shield to something.
This generates the gravitational field for the mass driver rings. A lot of ice shavings get caught in the inversion coils and melt, so there's a water trap built in. That's the purge valve on the right. There's also an oxygen reserve connection on the left in case a maintenance job takes too long or something.
I don't suppose I can access that to refill my oxygen? Lovely. That just looks like a refill and nothing more. I thought I'd be able to interact with this to shut something down and then... How do I move away? Like that. And then interact with this thing again to push the asteroids through, and then something will go horribly wrong. There's nothing else there.
Oxygen reserve depleted.
Oh shit.
Additional oxygen processing advisable.
Ah, so I do this. And then I can use the oxygen again. Okay. There's two buttons there. Okay. Let's click the first button and then click the second button. I assume that makes oxygen available here. Cool. We cannot go up any further. Not sure why that's not lining up. It looks like there's so much stuff here, but I can't grab it. Water canister. This water canister is designed to maintain the liquid state of its contents even when exposed to space. It's currently empty. Great use of the apostrophes. Can I go back and potentially fill that up? I mean, I saw H2O there. I've got to check. I've got to go back and check. Yes, look at that. Ah, is this the item perhaps that we need to get through the final door in Chichen Itza? Okay, let's run another cycle. No, let's run another cycle. Oh, there we go. That was weird. I didn't see the pointer, I saw a magnifying glass.
That's just a plug-in controller that we use to test the mining program. It runs a simple mining cycle on one of the remotes.
But in this case, it's keeping me alive. Making cautious progress. This is where we needed to be. The hell? Okay, that's quite confusing. I thought our emergency oxygen was full, or as close to full as it could possibly be. I'm sure if I don't go into that room, I'll be fine. That was very strange. The store... Let's not go into biomass then. Not yet, anyway. Maybe I need to pressurize this area of the station first. Although... that could be tricky given, you know, how this place looks.
This looks like it's in worse shape than the habitat wing, but really it's just the corridor that got hit hard. The lab was on the center section, though. It was sheared off completely, and it had my studio, and Doc was in the lab when the shower hit. I don't think it got hit directly, though. Just the section of the corridor it was attached to collapsed, and it tumbled away.
Same difference. We can do it. Scanner room. Wait.
Pressure variance too great. Door may not be opened until pressure is equalized.
Is there a way through? Arthur's not giving me a solution this time, so I don't know if we can get around this.
Pressure variance too great. Door may not be opened until pressure is equalized.
Nothing from Arthur. The icon's not changing here. Okay, this is not the way in. The thing is, we've been into the other side of the scanner room. If there was a way into the scanner room, then... Oh, did I have to go... Oh my god. Do I have to go all the way back to the start here and pressurize the biomass room? But if that's pressurized, then I can't get inside. Okay, what's the solution here? Is there something else in this corridor? Yeah, we've been in there. I can pressurize this, but I don't see what this accomplishes.
Well, you already know what this does.
Ah, airlock.
The other guy who was in here went around and interacted with all the sculptures like he was looking for the right one. Funny, he really seemed to know what he was doing. The one he eventually settled on is at Programming Station C.
He went to all of them, but he settled on C.
You can call this the maternity ward. This is where I was born. The huge womb in the center is where the neurosynaptic polymer gel that makes up my brain mass is grown. Ringing it are the programming stations. Kinda homey, isn't it?
No kink shaming, chat. Okay. I can go straight into the center. Oh my god. Just like that, I'm disorientated. So I see my feet are stuck to this thing here. If I look to the right, we got one over there. Look to the left, we have 3. That's what I saw earlier. So, go straight. I'm not disorientated yet.
Well, this is the one. If you touch it, you can see what it's supposed to do. Whatever he did to it only shows up in reaction to a specific harmonic resonance. But why go to all this trouble?
Not right now, Arthur. There was a label that said C is on the left, and that's what I'm looking at here. We have our evidence thing going off like a mofo. There's nothing on this side. Okay. Insufficient evidence, cause of temporal anachronism must be revealed. Okay, so let me click that.
these stations are where the neurosynaptic polymer gel is programmed. Sort of where my DNA is coded, I suppose. Each new function is mapped independently into a glob of gel like this by stimulating synaptic pathways with the resonance probes. Each program mass is then introduced to the parent nexus where it's assimilated and becomes part of the wetware. A little like an RNA injection.
We read about a lot of that in the INN news reports. Okay, well that's all very fascinating, but can I interact with anything here? I can.
The harmonic resonance control is used to introduce specific three-dimensional resonance waves into the biomass. Where the waves converge, the gel is stimulated into opening new patterns of pathways. Without inserting the probes, I suppose the sculpture would just be flooded by the resonance field. There's a chance that it might trigger an embedded response.
Does that mean it can kill us? Okay, so it's transforming 3 times, which makes me think that there's going to be something here to change it. Oh my god. There's 8 settings there. That says negative response. What am I doing here? I'm so confused. We have undefined there, I can't click anything. If I go right one, we get this, and I can click on the second button here. That's a negative. Negative. That sounds very positive, but it says negative. And they're all moving back up to this first one here. Like so. I'm not sure what the game's asking me to do here. Okay, 11 kilohertz is positive. Is it only the 11 kilohertz which is giving a positive response? Oh my god. This is so fiddly. Maybe I need to do these in some kind of order. That's the same musical notes. I can only imagine that I have to do this in some kind of order. It is so hard. It is so easy to just click out of it like that. So I feel like I'm missing half of the values here. Right, if the 54 doesn't work, then I don't know. Alright, well I'm going to go back to the 11 and click that. There's nothing else I can click here, and if I go to any of the other settings, something bad happens, so let me click that now. That's new.
Okay, well, I guess that does it. You know, for so long I dreamed of getting out of here, but now that I've gotten my wish, it's kind of strange to think that I'll never be able to come back. I'm gonna miss this place.
Hold me, Gage.
Arthur, I'll hold you on one condition. Please explain what the hell just happened.
Dr. Farnstein had set up a studio in the research lab where I could interface with a painting Waldo. It was kind of important to me. Things that I couldn't figure out, I just put to canvas. After the accident, I had a lot of things I wanted to work out, and the studio was just gone. I guess one day I sort of hit on the idea of using all of this raw material here. It gave me a lot of flexibility, and it's a medium I'm familiar with. My own gray matter. Or green matter, I suppose. I guess I like the irony, too. The artist cannibalizing himself for his art.
We're not getting anything there. Okay, we haven't found any evidence other than this thing. And we're being told we can leave. And I've got to be honest, I don't think there's anything else around here that may help. The only other thing I got through this little trip was the water canister, which may help me at Chichen Itza. I've got a vague memory of that. What did I pick up though? Electronic schematics inconsistent with technology level of this time period. Are we saying this is stuff that was developed in, say, 2300 onwards, that it was too futuristic? Or are we saying this was old? If it was developed afterwards, or maybe we're looking at something to do with the development of Arthur. Maybe it shouldn't have been possible to develop Arthur at this stage. I think that's the only thing that makes sense, but I'm struggling to put it together. Okay, well, I think we're done here. I don't think there's anything else we can do, so let's go check out what I believe is the last time zone, Chichen Itza.